surely a Grey Warden such as yourself does not believe otherwise. I see. Well, we all have our weaknesses, don't we? I await your command. At times, perhaps. A world full of people and buildings and things was all very foreign to me. If I wished companionship, I ran with the wolves and flew with the birds. If I spoke, 'twas to the trees. For a time, but one can only remain a child for so long. I recall the first time I crept beyond the edge of the wilds. I did so in animal form, remaining in the shadows and watching these strange townsfolk from afar. I happened upon a noblewoman by her carriage, adorned in sparkling garments the likes of which I had never before seen. I was dazzled. This, to me, seemed what true wealth and beauty must be. I snuck up behind her and stole a hand mirror from the carriage. 'Twas encrusted in gold and crystalline gemstones, and I hugged it to my chest with delight as I sped back to the wilds. She was not. Flemeth was furious with me. I was a child and had not yet come into my full power, and I had risked discovery for the sake of a pretty bauble. To teach me a lesson, Flemeth took the mirror and smashed it upon the ground. I was heartbroken. And a foolish one. Flemeth was right to break me of my fascination. Beauty and love are fleeting and have no meaning. Survival has meaning. Power has meaning. Without those lessons, I would not be here today, as difficult as they might have been. They did indeed. To return to your original question, perhaps my time in the wilds was indeed lonely, but such was how it had to be. I find myself at times wondering what might have become of the girl with the beautiful golden mirror, but such fantasies have no place amidst reality. I await your command. So, full of questions, are you? I await your command. We are in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any. What? You found Flemeth's grimoire? But when I spoke of it to you, I did not truly hope... This is a most fortuitous event. You have my thanks. I will begin study of the tome immediately. Secrets. My mother has many of them, and this tome represents the one time that they were able to get away from her. I do not intend to squander this opportunity to learn more than Flemeth wished me to know. This should be interesting. I await your command. So, full of questions, are you?
You are not quite as callow as I thought. That is unexpected. You're welcome. I caged myself. A weak mind is a deadly foe, as you are no doubt aware. That is complicated. I told you before that I was sent here. I was not sent alone. I came to your lands with 7 of the Beresad, my brothers, to seek answers about the Blight. We made our way across the Ferelden countryside without incident, seeing nothing of the threat we were sent to observe. Until the night we camped by Lake Calenhad. The came from everywhere. The earth beneath our feet, the air above us. Our own shadows harbored the darkspawn. I saw the last of the creatures cut down, too late. I fell. I heard the stories of Ostagar. Your kith stood their ground when others fled. No one can do more than that. I don't know how long I lay on the battlefield among the dead, nor do I know how the farmers found me. I only know that when I woke I was no longer among my brothers, and my sword was gone from my hand. I searched for it, and when that failed I asked my rescuers what had become of it. They said they found me with nothing. I did. I knew they didn't have the blade. They had no reason to lie to me. I panicked. Unthinking, I struck them down. That sword was made for my hand alone. I have carried it from the day I was set into the Beresad. I was to die wielding it for my people. Even if I could cross Ferelden and Tevinter unarmed and alone to bring my report to the Arishok, I would be slain on sight by the Antam. They would know me as soulless, a deserter. No soldier would cast aside his blade while he drew breath. If I knew where to look, it would be in my hand now. Near Lake Calenhad. Perhaps those words are empty, but thank you all the same. You called. I am hardly surprised. To put it lightly, no one has a place here. Your farmers wish to be merchants. The merchants dream of being nobles, and the nobles become warriors. No one is content to be who they are. What does that accomplish? The farmer who buys a shop is never a merchant. He is always a farmer turned merchant. He carries his old life with him as a turtle carries its shell. Happiness is fragile. Nothing can be built upon it that will last. Only duty endures. Shall we move on? There is interesting food here. You have a thing. It doesn't have a word in the Kunari tongue. Little baked things like bread, but sweet and crumbly. Yes, we have no such things in our lands. This should be remedied. Perhaps. It's strange to be in a crowd and hear a language that is not your own, to see faces that are and aren't like yours. I miss the smells of Saharon, tea and incense and the sea. Ferelden smells of wet dogs. True. I was trying to forget that part. Shall we move on? Speak, then. We have no mages such as you do. We have beasts in the shape of men who perform tricks. True. I suppose it is also horror and perversion. As a fish stranded by the tide knows the air, or a drowning man knows the sea, so does a mage know magic. Knowledge is one half of wisdom, but there are many things that can only be known too late. Ashera, are we going to fight the Darkspawn, or chatter until they grow bored and leave? As you wish.
Didn't really like that cut.
You called. I am hardly surprised. The Kyun, the path to wisdom. I am not surprised you don't recognize it. Ask a Tamasran. They know how to explain things to children. It is not for me to teach the Kyun. Speak, then. I misspoke. They are not beasts. Beasts learn eventually. Mages? Is there some reason you insist upon discussing this? You live in this world just as I do. You already know what magic is. A sword with no hilt. There is no use talking of this. We should move on. Very well. Clearly your chantry agrees. My people have a tale. An Ashkari walked among the fields once, observing the laborers at work. Flax bloomed all around him, the color of still water. The air rippled like a curtain. As he stopped to examine a blossom, a bee stung him on the hand. The Ashkari turned to a laborer for aid and noticed for the first time the heavy gloves and coat she wore. As she tended to him, the Ashkari asked them why she was dressed so in such stifling heat. "To avoid your fate," she replied. "But there are many thousands of bees here," the Ashkari said to her, "and only one stung me. Surely your caution is unwarranted." "The stinger is always a surprise," agreed the laborer. "But so is the bee that simply passes one by." It costs a bee its life to sting a man. What does it cost a mage? We should not linger here. As you wish.
Wow, this really starting to like
it. You called. I am hardly surprised. Very well. Speak, then. Then I suggest we move on. As you wish.
Have I ever told you I really like the way you wear your hair? It's very nice and it suits you. Simple. Not like the elaborate hairstyles we wore in Orlais. They involved flowers, ribbons, jewels. 1 year, feathers were all the rage, and Lady Elise decided she needed to outdo everyone else and actually wore live songbirds in her voluminous hair. The chirping was quite charming for a while, but you must realize, terrified little birdies often have loose bowels. Yes, I don't envy them. She never washed her hair. But I was trying to say something nice to you, wasn't I? Oh, forgive me. My mind wanders so. It's just that I feel so comfortable talking to you, like I could say anything and you wouldn't judge me. You see, this is what I mean. You're such a pleasure to talk to. I haven't felt this close to anyone in a long time. I really enjoy your company. And what would you do if I said I do? Very much so, in fact. Huh? You must do that then. Perhaps later when I'm not prepared for it. Surprise me. Come then, let's get going. If I recall correctly, you have some important earth-shattering business to attend to. Yes? Something you need? Yes? What's on your mind? My mother was from Denerim, and I consider myself a Ferelden. Mother served an Orlesian noblewoman who lived here when Orlais ruled. When Orlais was defeated and the common folk began to resent the presence of any Orlesian, the lady returned to Orlais. She took my mother with her. I was born in Orlais and did not set foot in Ferelden till much later. Mother was always telling me stories of her homeland. I think she missed it. Mother died when I was very young. Lady Cecily let me stay with her. I had no one else. She was quite old then, and she had me study music and dance to entertain her. It is unfair that I have more memories of Cecily than my mother. Strangely, the only thing I really remember of Mother was her scent. She kept dry flowers in her closet amongst her clothes. Small white Ferelden wildflowers with a sweet fragrance. Mother called them Andrastis Grace. They were very rare in Orlais. But enough about that. Let us move on. Yes? Something you need? Yes? What's on your mind? I miss Val-Royeaux. Unlike other cities where the people are the lifeblood and the character, Val-Royeaux was her own person, and her people little more than decorations. There was always music in Val-Royeaux, streaming from the many windows, quiet refrains and triumphant choruses, and always, floating above that all, the chant, coming from the Grand Cathedral. It was magnificent. Oh, it would take me a day or two to talk about the many splendors of Orlais, her golden fields, her lush meadows. Of course there are good things and bad things about Orlais, like anywhere else. Sometimes I miss it dearly, and sometimes I'm glad I'm rid of it. And you will laugh at this, but I miss the fine things I had in Orlais. Dresses, fine dresses and furs. And shoes, of course. One can't mingle with nobility with bad shoes, you see. Orlais is very fashionable, almost ridiculously so. But the shoes! Living with those ridiculous trends was worth it for the shoes. When I left Orlais, the fashion was shoes with delicate tapered heels and embellishments in the front. A ribbon, perhaps, or embroidery. In soft colors, of course. It was spring. I had my eye on a pair my shoemaker was working on. It was covered in pale blue silk with amber beads on the toe. The shoes made in Orlais were exquisite. Not at all like these clunky fur-lined leather boots you have in Ferelden. Ugh, just look at them. They're sturdy shoes, but sometimes a girl just wants to have pretty feet. Oh, I could talk about shoes all day, but we have things to do, don't we? Yes? Something you need? Yes? What's on your mind? Where did you hear this? And you believe everything you hear? Not all minstrels are spies. Most are just singers and storytellers, but some of them are what we call bards. Many use the two words minstrel and bard interchangeably, but to do so in Orlais would cause misunderstanding. Bards are minstrels and more. Spies, as you say. Some say there is a bard order, but I don't think this is true. Many bards work alone or in small groups, doing the bidding of a patron who pays for their services. If there is an organization behind it all, no one knows who they are. Nobles mostly. In Orlais, there is much rivalry amongst the highborn. They fight over land, influence, and the favor of the empress. But they cannot do this openly because it is impolite, and in public, they wear smiling faces and pretend to be civil. In secret, they plot and scheme to destroy each other. It is a game completely meaningless to anyone but its players. And I should, shouldn't I, after having spent most of my adult life as one? You've guessed as much, I'm sure. But does it really matter what I was? What's past is past. My skills served me well, but the day finally came when I decided to just put them aside. I found myself in Ferelden and sheltered from bad weather in the Chantry, and when the storm passed, I just did not want to leave. I like to say the Maker brought me here. Yes? Something you need? Yes? What's on your mind? Of course I do. I love stories far too much to keep them to myself. Everyone should be able to benefit from them, I think. Which one? It will come to you soon, I'm sure. Yes? Something you need? I don't think you have the correct aptitude. I could give you some pointers, though. You may be able to pass them on to someone you know. Let's just go over there, away from the others. For safety, yes? I expect there shall be daggers flying about willy-nilly for a time.
Down you go, Bender.
Yes? Something you need? Yes? What's on your mind?
I think she's all fucked up at the moment. Let's see what Alistair has to say.
Something on your mind? Of course. Essentially, they're trained to fight. The Chantry would tell you that the Templars exist simply to defend. But don't let them fool you. They're an army. The other main purpose for a Templar is, of course, to hunt mages. To that end, we train in talents that drain mana and disrupt spells. Perhaps, but there usually isn't much of an opportunity. The Chantry keeps a close rein on its Templars. We are given lyrium to help develop our magical talents, you see. Which means we become addicted. And since the Chantry controls the lyrium trade with the dwarves, well, I'm sure you can put two and two together. Well, they do it, and they feel perfectly justified. You don't need lyrium in order to learn the Templar talents. Lyrium just makes Templars' talents more effective. Or so I was told. Maybe it doesn't even do that. The Chantry usually doesn't let their Templars get away either, so they can spread their secrets. I'm a bit of an exception. Lucky me.
Check to see if anybody needs a little, looks like everyone's
Something on your mind? Of course. Sure, I could. I could even teach you, I suppose. Anyone who's been trained as a warrior. I guess if I'm going to give up Chantry secrets, I may as well go all the way. Send whoever you want trained to me in camp, and I'll see what I can do. Something on your mind? Of course. Such as they are. That's a good question. There's plenty in Orlais, but who knows where they might be found. And the nearest Orlesian city is weeks away. If we go north and cross the sea, there's bound to be some in the free marches. Again, however, I just don't know where. I don't know anything about Grey Wardens in other lands. Here in Ferelden, there's our compound in Denerim at the palace, but that's it. Loghain will have control over that and be watching it, no doubt. Beyond that, the only place I know of is Weishaupt Fortress. That's the headquarters of all Grey Wardens in the Anderfels, 1,000 miles from here, but I've no idea how to even contact them. So unless we try to get back to the compound in Denerim, I suppose the answer is no. There's nowhere for us to go. I mean, eventually we would have to use the joining to make more Grey Wardens, right? But I don't know how to do the joining, or what's involved. I know it involves lyrium and some other magic, and that it's really difficult to prepare, but that's it. Unless we can find out more about the joining, I guess we better get used to the idea that there might only be 2 of us for now. Until more come from elsewhere. I imagine that eventually the Grey Wardens outside of Ferelden will wonder what's happened. Why there's no contact from Duncan or someone. They'll send someone eventually. Though who knows what Loghain's people in Denerim will tell them. Maybe they won't send anyone. We could try to contact them. But that would mean leaving Ferelden, and even if we did, they couldn't come back with us in time to stop the Blight. So that means whatever happens, it's up to us. Just left? You mean just left Ferelden? I don't know. If there's an archdemon, however, we're supposed to be the only ones who can defeat it. And that means the Blight would grow unchecked. Eventually, other Grey Wardens in Orlais and other lands would hear about it, and they would come to fight it, but they wouldn't come in time to save Ferelden. There's no way. I'm not going anywhere. About the Grey Wardens, anyhow. Fair enough. Something on your mind? Of course. Same way you did. You drink some blood, you choke on it, and pass out. You haven't forgotten already, have you? I do my best. What can I say? Let's see, I was in the Chantry before. I trained for many years to become a Templar, in fact. That's where I learned most of my skills. Well, it wasn't an easy life, you know. I don't know whether or not you've noticed, but I'm not exactly the Chantry type. The Grand Cleric didn't want to let me go. Duncan was forced to conscript me, actually, and was she ever furious when he did. I thought she was going to have us both arrested. I was lucky. Oh, I suppose the Chantry life is good enough for some. Here, we have the chance to fight against the Blight. To actually do some good instead of sitting in a temple somewhere. I'll always be thankful to Duncan for recruiting me. If it hadn't been for him, you know, I wouldn't have. He was a good man who didn't deserve his fate. That much I'm sure of. Come on, let's go. I think I'm done talking. Something on your mind? Of course. Oh, did I say that? I meant that dogs raised me. Giant slobbering dogs from the Anderfels. A whole pack of them, in fact. Well, it wasn't until I was 8 that I discovered you didn't have to lick yourself clean. Old habits die hard, you know. And my table manners too. Though, come to think of it, they weren't all that different from the other Templars. Or did I dream all of that? Funny the dreams you'll have when you sleep on the cold, hard ground, isn't it? Are you having strange dreams? Point taken. Let's see, how do I explain this? I'm a bastard. And before you make any smart comments, I mean the fatherless kind. My mother was a serving girl in Redcliffe Castle who died when I was very young. Our Lehman wasn't my father, but he took me in anyhow and put a roof over my head. He was good to me, and he didn't have to be. I respect the man, and I don't blame him anymore for sending me off to the Chantry once I was old enough. I was young and resentful and not very pious. Of course I blamed him. I remember screaming at him like a little child. Well, I was a child, so I doubt he was surprised. Our Lehman eventually married a young woman from Orlais, which caused all sorts of problems between him and the king because it was so soon after the war. But he loved her. Anyhow, then you, Arlessa, resented the rumors which pegged me as his bastard. They weren't true, but of course they existed. The Isle didn't care, but she did. So off I was packed to the nearest monastery at age 10, just as well. The Arlessa made sure the castle wasn't a home to me by that point. She despised me. Maybe. She felt threatened by my presence, I can see that now. I can't say I blame her. She wondered if the rumors were true herself, I bet. I remember I had an amulet with Andraste's holy symbol on it. The only thing I had of my mother's. I was so furious at being sent away, I tore it off and threw it at the wall and it shattered. Stupid, stupid thing to do. The Isle came by the monastery a few times to see how I was, but I was stubborn. I hated it there, and blamed him for everything. And eventually, he just stopped coming. And raised my dogs. Or I may as well have been, the way I acted. But maybe all young bastards act like that. I don't know. All I know is that the Arl is a good man, and well loved by the people. He also was King Caelin's uncle, so he has a personal motivation to see Loghain pay for what he did. Anyway, that's really all there is to the story. Something on your mind? Of course. Have you seen the uniform? It's not only stylish, but well made. I'm a sucker for good tailoring. That's just in public. In private, we have these yellow and purple tunics, right? Much more comfortable, and you don't break the beds when you jump on them during a pillow fight. On confession day, we could go all night. Being a Templar isn't all about chasing men in skirts and hiding behind priests, you know. You don't really want to know about my being a Templar, do you? It's really quite boring. I suppose there's no harm in it then. Sorry if I was being perverse. I'm just not used to anyone asking me these things. The truth of the matter is that I did hate going to the monastery. The initiates from poor families thought I put on airs, while the noble ones called me a bastard and ignored me. I felt like Al Eamon had cast me off, unwanted, and I was determined to be bitter. But I took some solace in the training itself, I guess. I was actually quite good at it. The education, mostly, but also the discipline. You need to have a disciplined mind in order to use the abilities we have. It was difficult, but rewarding. I never really felt at home anywhere, though, until I joined the Grey Wardens. And Duncan felt my Templar abilities might be useful for when we encountered Darkspawn magic, so I kept it up. What about you? Do you have anywhere you consider home? We won't always be traveling like this, you know. Once the war is over, once the Blight is... well, a time will come when we'll have to think about having a real home again. Though that seems like a far ways off. And I suppose the Grey Wardens are gone for good, either way. I suppose you're right. We can create new Grey Wardens, but we'll never get back those we lost. I wonder if it would ever feel the same. Anyhow, now I've sidetracked us. We'd better get back to what we're supposed to be doing right now. Something on your mind? Of course. You mean other than becoming a Grey Warden? You know, I asked Duncan this too, and all I got was, "You'll see." Oh, it's not that Duncan wants to keep it a secret, it's just that the Grey Wardens don't discuss it much. I gather it's not a pleasant topic. The first change I noticed was an increase in appetite. I used to get up in the middle of the night and raid the castle larder. I thought I was starving. I'd slurp down every dinner like it was my last. My face all covered in gravy. When I'd look up, the other Grey Wardens would stare, then laugh themselves to tears. Really? Because I was watching you wolf down food the other day, and I thought, ooh, it's a good thing she gets a lot of exercise. I suppose it could affect women differently from men. I've never asked. Oh, and then there were the nightmares. Duncan said it was part of how we sense the Darkspawn. We tap into their, well, I don't know what you call it, their group mind. And when we sleep, it's even worse. You learn to block it out after a while, but at first it's hard. It's supposed to be worse for those who join during a blight. How is it for you? Some people never have much trouble, but that's rare. Others have trouble sleeping their entire life. They're just more sensitive, I suppose. Everyone ends up the same, though. Once you reach a certain age, the real nightmares come. That's how a Grey Warden knows his time has come. Oh, that's right. We never had time to tell you that part, did we? Well, in addition to all the other wonderful things about being a Grey Warden, you don't need to worry about dying from old age. You've got 30 years to live, give or take. The taint, it's a death sentence. Ultimately, your body won't be able to take it. When the time comes, most Grey Wardens go to Orzammar and die in battle rather than waiting. It's tradition. You'll always find Darkspawn down where the dwarves are. The oldest Grey Wardens head to the deep roads for one last glorious battle. Not that there's a shortage of Darkspawn during a blight, but that's the tradition. The dwarves respect us for it. And you wondered why we kept the joining a secret from the new recruits. There you have it. You know, Duncan, he started having the nightmares again. He told me that in private. He said it wouldn't be long before he'd go to Orzammar himself. I guess he got what he wanted. I just wish it had been something worthy of him. I know. Ending the blight should make this all worthwhile, right? Something on your mind? Of course. I didn't know them for very long, but I guess it was longer than you. You never met them all, did you? They were quite a group. Actually, they felt like an extended family, since we were all cut off from our former lives. We also laughed more than you'd think. There was this one time... Well, you probably don't want to hear stories about men you didn't know. Not as Grey Wardens, not while I was there. I saw pictures of some, though none of them were as pretty as you are. There was one Grey Warden who came all the way from the Anderfells. What was his name? Gregor. He was a burly man with the biggest, fuzziest beard you've ever seen. And the man could drink. He drank all the time, but he never got drunk. Finally, we all made a pool to see just how many pints it would take to put him under the table. Sometimes. We were kin of a sort. All of us had gone through the joining, so we knew... Well, anyhow. It doesn't have to be deadly serious all the time. Anyhow, we never did find out. He said he'd drink a pint for every half pint that the rest of us drank. He was still going by the time the rest of us were passed out. I'm told that Duncan walked in later on and saw us all passed out from one end of the hall to the other, and Gregor still drinking. Duncan laughed until he nearly... Until... Yes, I suppose so. I thought I was done with this, but it just struck me that I have nothing to remember Duncan by, nothing at all. There's no body, not even a token of his that I could take with me. That must sound really stupid to you.
Nope, just sounds like morning.
I just would have liked something of his to take with me, that's all. Well, there's no use in moaning about it, is there? He's gone. Let's just go. I'm wondering something. I'd like to know your thoughts about some of our traveling companions. Do you mind if I ask? I've got this nefarious plan to go around to each of them and secretly tell them all the nasty things you said. That way they'll mutiny and I shall become the group leader.
I've heard better evil laughs, but that wasn't too bad.
Ouch, now I'm wounded. Look at me, bleeding all over the place. You're just not very nice, are you? Seriously though, I'm only curious. I've had enough time to form my own opinions, and I just want to see if yours are any different. What about Sten? The way he looks at me with those eyes. Creepy. And he's so quiet for someone so big. Yet he doesn't seem quite so bad as the Chantry tells us. According to them, his philosophy is vile and evil. Yet he seems so reasonable. And yet, he killed all those people. He doesn't even deny it. Doesn't that bother you? I'm not so sure that his regret means the same as it would for us. The Kunari sense of honor is a bit hard to grasp. For me, anyway. What about Liliana? Is she crazy? Or do you really believe in her vision? That's one way to put it. I noticed that you and her have become close. Am I right? The rest of us have talked about it. I thought so. Well, I hope you know what you're doing. I don't know what to make of her. If you look at her when she doesn't see you, she just looks so sad.
She's mourning her shoes.
I almost feel guilty taking her away from her life. Yes, I know. Still, I feel badly for her. Morrigan. Do you trust her? Think about it. Maybe Flemeth sent her with us for some other reason than she said. Hello? Have you met her? I think she'd need a reason not to betray us. Well, there is that. Enough. I think my curiosity is sated. Let's get back to it, shall we? Something on your mind? Of course.
Okay. Now, let's see who to talk to the new member of the party. Win.
Oh, it's been a long day. Rest would be welcome. Yes, of course. I am just a little weary. As you may have noticed, I'm no spring chicken. Thank you. You're very kind to say so. But in all honesty, I do not know how many years I have left in me. I have lived for such a long time, but there is always something else to do. And I have to keep going in order to do it. I think I will be glad when I am done. Oh, I don't know. I really don't. Have you encountered many abominations, apart from the ones in the Circle Tower? You are younger than I, and your nerves yet have some steel in them. Did you feel any fear facing the abominations? The first time I saw an abomination, my blood turned to ice. It was months before the nightmares stopped. It was the knowledge that I could easily become one of them that frightened me the most. One slip. All it takes is one slip, and everything you are is simply gone. Replaced by madness. And there is no turning back, or at least that's what they say. Of late, I have begun to wonder if there is any way an abomination can be cured, or if a mage could be so possessed and still retain their sanity, their humanity. Yes, it is madness and cruelty that define abominations. If those are lacking, if the mage remembers the person they truly are, then they are not an abomination. I never saw that. Thank you for showing me another way of looking at it. So, tell me, how did you become a Grey Warden? Arl Rendon Howe? The Arl of Amaranthine? Why would he do such a thing to you? You are the last of the Couslands? I had no idea.
Well,
My
looks like
lady?
My brother's still out there somewhere.
Yes, I suppose so. You can no longer have a title, can you? But that does not mean you must forget utterly where you came from. Take heart, dear friend. You survived, even when you were not expected to. We do not know yet what lies in store for you, or the name you carry. It is not so bad, is it, being a Grey Warden? Sometimes it gives me comfort to think that everything will end up the way it's supposed to, that it will be all right. You were chosen. You survived the joining when others did not. Perhaps it was meant to be. I must ask, what does being a Grey Warden mean to you? There's that, of course. But there's more to being a Grey Warden than killing Darkspawn and saving the world from the Blight. Ultimately, being a Grey Warden is about serving others. About serving all people, whether elves or dwarves or men. As a Grey Warden, you are a guardian of men. And you guard them because their continued existence is more important than you are. Thus it is you who serves, not they. A good king, a true king who cares for his land, uses his power to rule firmly but fairly. He serves his people first and foremost. The king who does not do this, who believes that he is entitled to his power, who abuses it and uses it for his own means, is a tyrant. If you live apart from others and your actions affect only you, then you may do as you wish. But if you have power, influence, and strength, your every action will be as a drop of water in a clear, still pond. The drop causes ripples, and ripples spread. Think of how far they will go, how wide they will become, how will they affect the pond. But I've lectured enough for today. I should stop before I wear out my welcome.
Getting better.
Is there something you need? The circle is in good hands. Irving knows what to do, and he doesn't need me underfoot. For now, I will support those that battle the Darkspawn. I do feel I left things unfinished in Ostagar. There is so much left to do, and I would be part of it. The Grey Wardens, all 2 of you, need all the help you can get. I will see this through to the bitter end, and after that, if I am still left standing, then I will return to the circle. Perhaps. Is there something you need? I will answer to the best of my ability. People don't become mages. They are born mages. The talent just surfaces later. But you are asking how I ended up at the Circle. I was brought there by the Templars, just like many of the other apprentices. I don't remember very much. I was very young then. I set a boy on fire. I didn't have a family. I never knew my real parents. My earliest memory was of hiding in a hayloft on a farm, trying to keep warm. I was found, and the farmer's wife was kind enough not to send me away. But they had children of their own, and I was never made to feel welcome. The eldest son was the worst. He was always calling me a stray. and throwing anything he could get his hands on at me. And I don't know how it happened, but one day he just found his hair on fire. Fortunately, there was a large trough nearby. I had singed his hair and eyebrows, but injured little other than his pride. Who knows what they would have done to me had he been more seriously hurt. Thankfully, all I had to endure was a few nights locked in a cold barn with a bowl of water and a crust of bread. The Templars arrived several mornings later. The barn kept me safe from the village children and the stones they would hurl at me. I was afraid, yes, but it could have been much worse. I'll never forget the moment the Templars led me into the entrance hall of the tower. I had never seen anything so grand in my life. I stopped being afraid then. I knew I was home. Well, that's about all there is to my tale. That's how I came to the Circle. I would be lying if I said it was easy. First, there were rules, and we were constantly watched to make sure we behaved appropriately. Then there was the study of magic. We had to cast the spells just so, control the effects completely. A single word spoken incorrectly, a gesture out of sync, and lack of focus. And we needed to have perfect focus, or we would be in danger. From Fade spirits. If we were careless, they would enter our minds, and we would become abominations. Without the Circle and my mentors, I would not have been where I am today. And there was joy in life at the Circle. The joys of fellowship, in knowing that you were not alone in your struggles. In spite of everything, I was happy in the tower, and I loved it. Is there something you need? I will answer to the best of my ability.
Okay, I do believe that's all the conversation. See Gabriel's interacting with Cuddles here.
I once heard a really old legend about how the Hound Warriors in the days of the old tribes would feed their Mabari the flesh of the vanquished. Well, that's what I heard anyway. It would sometimes be human flesh. Oh, like you can tell the difference. For all you know, maybe you've already been fed something. Someone.
Look at what your fool dog placed in my pack. A putrid, half-eaten hare is not something a woman wants to find in her unmentionables. The dirty mongrel can have this back. There. And tell him not to do it again. I just did. I don't want it, you worthless fur bag. Oh, he's just trying to be manipulative, I can tell. I do it too.
At least Morgane is very self-aware.
Your dog is filthy. I can smell him 50 yards off. That may be so, but all the same, I would like your permission to bathe him. No, that's not what magic is used for. Just make him sleep over on the other side of the camp, with Alistair. With any luck, that will keep all the stench confined to one small area.
I seek to understand the dog. We fight alongside each other, and I must discover the strength of his heart. You are a true warrior and worthy of respect.
Okay, I think that's enough for cuddles at the moment. And let's just head over. Sell anything for
Enchantment?
Blade.
Enchantment!
Oh, I'm runeless. I'm a runeless wonder. Well, let's see if there's any runes worth buying.
If there's anything I can do for you, please, please tell me. The Darkspawn have attacked Lothering. I don't think everyone even had fled by the time they came either. Word has it they swarmed the entire area, making off with prisoners and burning down the buildings, and then they were gone. Just as quick. I wonder if there's anyone left. I heard some chanters were going to head down south, maybe to try to find some survivors. I'm not holding out hope myself. That's what I've heard on the road anyhow. Take it for what it is. I'm sure you'll be pleased with the goods my boy and I have collected, and with your discount.
Let's see. I believe there's what, 2 slots on Sten's blade?
Enchantment? Enchantment!
Yep, 2 runes. Expert lightning and journeyman blade.
It will be done.
Indeed.
Indeed.
Yes.
Apparently we got attacked while going over the ferry.
I bring word, sire. There are demands from the Banorn that you step down from the Regency. They are said to be gathering their forces, as are your allies. It appears it will be civil war after all, despite the Darkspawn. Pity. I also have an interesting report. There seem to be Grey Wardens who survived Ostagar. How, I don't know. but they will act against you. I have arranged for a solution, with your leave.
The Antivan crows send their regards.
Is that as bad as the Lannisters?
An assassin?
Against Grey Wardens, we will need the very best, sire.
And the most expensive.
Just get it done.
Dun dun dun.
Ah, a fellow traveler of the fair lands. Are you a seeker, perchance? My packs are light, but I have a tome of strange origin. The Deus V Eternus, rumored to be the last message to a sinful world from the Maker himself. Ah, will the wonders of this all too small a land never cease? Well, they will for you. Get them!
Very well. Yes. It will be done.
Back off! I was here first! That doesn't matter none to you. I'm an honest businessman. I wasn't bothering nobody, and I was here first. Why, you looking to buy one? Ah, is he? Well, that's... see, I'd like to sell you one, but I don't, have any myself. I got part of a glove the wolves didn't chew too badly, though. I think it was a glove, anyway. I know, don't say it, I got cheated. I knew the guy who was here before me. He sold me this spot. Said he found giants and all kind of crazy valuable though. His name's Ferrin. Squirrely little bastard if... His name's Ferrin. Squirrely little bastard if you ask me. Which you didn't, but I said it anyway. He was going to Orzammar, he said. I imagine he's gotten there by now. If you find him, tell him I sent you. It'll scare the piss out of him. Ah.
Now that I've got that piece of information, let's go get Shale. Attack! Attack! Another attack!
Oh, thank the Maker. We need help. They attacked the wagon. Please help us. Follow me. I'll take you to them.
Yeah, that doesn't scream crap.
I would wake up dead, or not wake up at all, as the case may be. But I see you haven't killed me yet. Ah, so I am to be interrogated. Let me save you some time. My name is Zevran. Zev to my friends. I am a member of the Antivan Crows, brought here for the sole purpose of slaying any surviving Grey Wardens, which I have failed at, sadly.
I can tell you that. They are an order of assassins out of Antiva, very powerful and renowned for always getting the job done, so to speak. Someone went to great expense to hire this man.
Quite right. I'm surprised you haven't heard much of the Crows out here. Back where I come from, we're rather infamous. A rather taciturn fellow in the capital. Logain, I think his name was. Yes, that's it. I wasn't. If I had succeeded, I would have returned home and the Crows would have informed your Logain of the results, if he didn't already know. If I had failed, I would be dead, or I should be, at least as far as the Crows are concerned. No need to see Logain then. I have no idea what his issues are with you. The usual, I imagine. You threatened his power, yes? Beyond that, no, I am not loyal to him. I was contracted to perform a service. I wasn't paid anything. The Crows, however, were paid quite handsomely, or so I understand. Which does make me about as poor as a chantry mouse, come to think of it. Being an Antivan Crow isn't for the ambitious, to be perfectly honest. Why not? I wasn't paid for silence. Not that I offered it for sale, precisely. Loyalty is an interesting concept. If you wish, and you're done interrogating me, we can discuss it further. Very well. Ask, and thou shalt receive.
Okay, apparently I am done.
Then, unless you're quite stuck on cutting my throat or something equally gruesome, perhaps you'd care to hear a proposal. Well, here's the thing. I failed to kill you, so my life is forfeit. That's how it works. If you don't kill me, the crows will. Thing is, I like living. And you obviously are the sort to give the crows pause, so let me serve you instead. To be completely honest, I was never given much of a choice regarding joining the crows. They bought me on the slave market when I was a child. I think I paid my worth back to them plus tenfold. The only way out, however, is to sign up with someone they can't touch. Even if I did kill you now, they might just kill me on principle for failing the first time. Honestly, I'd rather take my chances with you. Why? Because I am skilled at many things, from fighting to stealth and picking locks. I could also warn you should the Antivan crows attempt something more sophisticated, now that my attempts have failed. I could also stand around and look pretty if you prefer. Warm your bed. Fend off unwanted suitors, no? I like a woman who knows exactly what she wants. I really do. So, what shall it be? I'll even shine armor. You won't find a better deal, I promise. Well, let's see. Being allowed to live would be nice, and would make me marginally more useful to you. And somewhere down the line, if you should decide that you no longer have need of me, then I go on my way. Until then, I am yours. Is that fair?
A fine plan, but I would examine your food and drink far more closely from now on, were I you.
That's excellent advice for anyone.
Welcome, Zevran. Having an Antivan crow join us sounds like a fine plan.
Oh, you're another companion to be, then? I wasn't aware such loveliness existed amongst adventurers, surely.
Or maybe not.
I hereby pledge my oath of loyalty to you until such a time as you choose to release me from it. I am your man, without reservation. This I swear.
You can just stay at camp. Now to loot the place. Also, love books instead. Interesting. I thought it was only I that I could use that. I could use that book.
Very well. It will be done.
On my way.
I am here.
What is it? It shall be as you say.
I'll need to increase those stats before I can bump them up. Oh well.
Of course.
Very well. Yes.
Alright, back on the road.
You'll have to forgive me if I seem a bit nervous. Not many people travelling in this part of Ferelden. Of course, that's part of my problem, isn't it? Mule got spooked by a wisp and ran off into the woods. Now what do I do? Ah, waiting for my helper to find the damn mule, of course. It's freezing! Oh, I suppose you meant, why am I out here? As in this part of the country. Allow me to introduce myself. Felix de Grosbois, merchant and entrepreneur at your service. I don't normally take this route, but with the war I was hoping for a bit of luck and good weather in the mountains. Sadly, I've had neither. Ugh, this trip has been one miserable disaster after another. I don't suppose you consider helping a fellow out? Of all the other things that went wrong, the worst is this artifact I brought in Jada. It's a control rod, I'm told, for a golem. No point in me keeping it, however, as I'll never get to use it. But, maybe you could? Nothing. I just don't want to have to lug around something that might be taken for a gemstone by some bandit. To be honest, I don't even know if it'll be useful to you. I paid too much to simply throw it away. The dwarf I brought it from said it activates and controls a golem. So long as you have it in your hand, the golem does what you say. Might be useful, no? I mean, you look like the sort who could use one, yes? The catch? Yeah, I suppose it is a catch, isn't it? The catch is that the golem didn't come with the rod. It's supposed to be down in a village down south, waiting to be activated. Even if I could get down there, which I can't, I understand the place has been overrun by darkspawn. That's not such an issue for adventurous types like yourself, surely? Or I'm hoping that's so, at least. Just as well. As I mentioned before, you'll find the golem down south, in a town called Honleith. I'll mark it here on your map. Just hold up the rod and say Dulaf Gar. That will wake the golem up, so I'm told. I hope it works. Best of luck to you then. Now, I guess it's up to me to find that mule myself.
Mule hunting.
As you say.
Looks like nothing to be found here. Pity.
Rough travels out here, eh? We even saw darkspawn on the way in. Right, darkspawn. We killed a whole band of them on the way up from Lothering. We're delivering a message to the Chantry in Denerim. You? We saw a blood mage down near the Brazilian forest. We're off to tell the Chantry about him. I thought you said... Wait, you're serious? You look pretty tough, but we just fought Darkspawn. I think we can handle a few losers in armor. Let's see what you've got.
Enemies ahead! Let us end this Yes. Of course.
On my way. It's done.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, of course. It's done. It looks like a golem, doesn't it? An actual golem, and not a statue at all. I wonder how it ended up here of all places.
Oh? Of course.
I'll do it.
Yes. We must strike. Very well. Of course. Very well.
By the Maker, we're saved!
You weren't sent by the ban, were you? To save us? A Grey Warden? Here! Thank the Maker for our luck! But if you weren't sent by someone, why are you here? If you don't mind me asking. A control rod? Do you mean the one for Shale? That damnable golem brought us nothing but trouble. My mother sold the rod years ago after it killed my father, and good riddance! My father's name was Wilhelm, mage to the Isles of Redcliffe and a hero in the war against Orlais, and what did he get? One day my mother found him outside the tower, with so many broken bones she could barely recognize him, and Shale standing over him just like it is now. My father deserved better than that. But if you really want to wake Shale up, well, it's yours now. My mother never talked about it much. I was just a small child when my father died. Look, I know you probably have more important things on your mind, but I really need your help. I know you already saved my life, and I'm grateful, but my daughter is inside the laboratory. She was afraid and ran too far in before I could stop her. I don't know how she made it past my father's defenses. One of the men tried to go after her. He was killed, but you could find her, couldn't you? There are defenses my father put down here to keep strangers out. I knew about the barrier, I had the key for that, but the rest of it, well, we never came down here. Ever. You will? Thank the Maker! My father's laboratory is just past the next area, I think. She has to be there.
As you say. Of course.
Oh, that's a pleasant sound.
It will be done.
Harvest ring. Oh, that's nice. I think I'll take that over some fire damage. And of course, some trickle down theory.
Here I am.
Of course.
Your wish?
What do you mean you've never climbed a tree? Don't cats like to be in trees? Oh look, someone's come to play. You have come to play, haven't you? We're playing a guessing game. It's better with more people. Father? Oh, you can tell him I'm fine. Maybe he'll come and stay with us, too. Anyway, you should go if you're not going to play. Kitty finds you distracting. Kitty's clever. She says you'll want to take me back to my father, but I'm not going. She would be lonely.
I would not suggest leaving in such hostile company anyhow, Amalia. Look how they act.
Of course, silly.
Talking is simple enough, once you know how. Nothing you say will convince Amalia to go with you. She loves only me now. I am her friend, while you are just a stranger. I have done nothing. I am all but powerless. The mage made sure of that, didn't he? I cannot leave this chamber. No, Amalia found me. After decades of isolation, her company is welcome. It seems we are at an impasse, so let me propose a compromise of sorts. Release me, mortal, and let me have the girl. Let us return to her father and leave this place forever. That's such a crude way of putting it. I do not wish to harm Amalia. I merely want to see your world through her eyes. Is that so wrong? But I do like this one.
I like you too, Kitty.
But if it means escaping this prison, I am willing to leave on my own. I agree to your terms. The mage's wards hold me within this chamber, and only a mortal may approach them. There is a trick to disarming the wards, but I do not know it. Perhaps you will succeed where the girl failed.
Oh, this is so exciting! Kitty is going to be free! I've always wanted a cat, and Kitty... Kitty.
Okay, let's see if I remember how to do this puzzle.
I like it when Kitty sings to me. Father doesn't like cats, but he never met Kitty.
Let's not stand in the fire.
As you say.
Kitty says Grandpa Wilhelm locked her up in this room. Isn't that awful?
Of course. It will be done. Very well. It will be done.
Yes. I can feel the magic fading. Oh, I had forgotten how it feels not to be caged.
Kitty? What's happening?
A wonderful thing, my dear, for both of us. I have changed my mind. I like the girl. I do not think I will find another like her.
Oh, so I get to go with you after all?
Ugh! I will take her anyhow. She is mine.
Kitty! You're scaring me! I won't let you inside me! I won't!
Run, girl!
did it! You freed her! Thank you so much!
I'm sorry I ran away, Daddy. I was so scared.
It's all right, Butterfly. You're safe now. All the bad creatures are gone. You'll need a phrase to activate Shale. It's Dulan Han. I wouldn't want the thing, but it's obvious you can handle yourself just fine. Now we should go, and quickly.
Thank you again. We owe you our lives.
I knew that the day would come when someone would find the control rod. And not even a mage this time. Probably stumbled across the rod by accident, I suppose. Typical. I stood here in this spot and watched the wretched little villagers scurry around me for, oh, I have no idea how long. Many, many years.
Oh, you poor dear. That would be really, really boring.
Then one wonders that you wouldn't be grateful to the one who allowed you to stretch your legs, Gollum.
Another mage, I see. Charming. I was just beginning to get used to the quiet, too. Tell me, are all the villagers dead? Some got away, then. How unfortunate. Familiarity breeds contempt, as they say, and after 30 years as a captive audience, I was as familiar with these villagers as one could possibly be. Not that I wish their fate on them, no. But it did make for a delightful change of pace. Perhaps I may have forgotten after all the years of being called Gollum. Gollum, fetch me that chair. Do be a good Gollum and squash that insipid bandit. And let's not forget, Gollum, pick me up. I tire of walking. It does have the control rod, doesn't it? I am awake, so it must. I see the control rod, yet I feel... Go on, order me to do something. And, nothing. I feel nothing. I feel no compulsion to carry out its command. I suppose this means the rod is broken. I suppose if I can't be commanded, this means I have free will, yes? It is simply, what shall I do? I have no memories beyond watching this village for so long. I have no purpose. I find myself at a bit of a loss. What about it? It must have awoken me for some reason, no? What did it intend to do with me? Ah, how unexpected. Yet refreshing. I suppose I have two options, do I not? Go with it or go elsewhere? I do not even know what lies beyond this village. I will follow it about then. For now, I am called Shale, by the way. This should be interesting.
Vashaden.
Blood and damnation.
Yes.
Indeed.
Indeed.
bird genocide begins. Okay, so now let's take another trip to the camp.
I have been studying Mother's grimoire. Do you wish to hear what I have found? 'Tis not what I expected. I had hoped for a collection of her spells, a map of the power that she commands, but this is not it. Disturbed? Yes, perhaps that is the right word. One thing in particular within her writings disturbs me. Here, in great detail, Flemeth explains the means by which she has survived for centuries. That is closer to the truth than you might think. Flemeth has raised many daughters over her long lifetime. There are stories of these many witches of the wilds throughout chastened legend, yet I have never seen a one, and always wondered why not. And now I know. They are all Flemeth. When her body becomes old and wizened, she raises a daughter, and when the time is right, she takes her daughter's body for her own. Do not be sorry. I am not. I am angry. There is only one possible response to this. Flemeth needs to die. I will not sit about like an empty sack waiting to be filled. Flemeth must be slain, and I need your help to do it. Then what needs to be done is for you to go back to Flemeth's hut in the Kakari Wilds without me. If I am present when she is slain, I cannot be certain that she will not be able to possess my body right then, so I must remain at the camp. Confront her and slay her quickly. I doubt she will truly be dead even then, but it will take her years to find a new host and recover her power, if that is even possible. The thing I must have is her true grimoire. With it, I can defend against her power in the future. Everything else in her hut is yours. I am grateful. The sooner this can be done, the sooner it will set my mind at ease.
You and your friends are formidable folk, indeed. It's good to have you along on the road. I'm sure you'll be pleased with the goods my boy and I have collected, and with your discount.
Okay, let's see if I can handle myself a boss fight. We're about to go to try to kill one.
As you said.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yes.
This could end very badly, but we'll see what happens.
Very well.
You have coin, stranger? The doors are marked closed off. Old Tegra can get you a discount. Fine weapon and arms, dwarven made. There's two things I'm here for. Travel or trade. Understand?
Flemeth! Boss fight, boss fight.
And so you return. Lovely Morrigan has at last found someone willing to dance to her tune. Such enchanting music she plays, wouldn't you say? Which one, I wonder? What has Morrigan told you? What little plan has she hatched this time? That she does. The question is, do you? Ah, but it is an old, old story. One that Flemeth has heard before, and even told. Let us skip right to the ending, shall we? Do you slay the old wretch as Morrigan bids, or does the tale take a different turn? It is a dance poor Flemeth knows well. Let us see if she remembers the steps. Come, she will earn what she takes. I'd have it no other way.
Okay, everybody, put on your game face.
You called. As you wish.
Back to camp.
I lied to you, you know, about why I left Orlais. I didn't feel like talking about it then, what happened to me. Maybe it will affect us, maybe not, but you should know. I came to Ferelden and the Chantry because I was being hunted in Orlais. I was framed, betrayed by someone I thought I knew and could trust. Marjolaine. She was my mentor and friend. She taught me the bardic arts, how to enchant with words and song, to carry myself like a highborn lady, to blend in as a servant. The skills I learned, I used to serve her, my bard master, because I loved her and because I enjoyed what I did. She claimed to have retired. She married a noble and inherited his wealth when he died. To many she was just a rich widow. I thought I knew her. My devotion to her blinded me to her less than noble attributes. You can say it was my fault. There was a man I was sent to kill. I was to bring Marjolaine everything he carried. I don't know who this man was. She gave me a name and a description, and I hunted him down. I found documents on his body, sealed documents. It turns out that they were. My curiosity got the better of me. Something told me that I needed to know what was in those letters. Marjolaine had been selling all kinds of information about Orlais to other countries, Nevara and Antiva among others. It was treason. Some. But I had always assumed Marjolaine only operated within Orlais. This was an unhappy surprise for me. My life as bard taught me that my loyalties should be kept fluid. My concern was not that she was a traitor, but that her life would be in danger if she was caught. Orlais has been at war with so many countries. It takes a harsh view of such things, as I later discovered. I should have left well alone, but I didn't. I had to tell Marjolaine I feared for her life. She brushed aside my concern. She admitted her guilt, but said it was in the past. That is why the documents had to be destroyed, she said. I believed her. I kept believing up till the moment they showed me the documents, altered by her hand, to make me look the traitor. Yes, the Orlesian guards. They captured me. Did terrible things to make me confess and reveal my conspirators. It was a traitor's punishment I endured. And at the end of it, all that awaited me was eternity in an unmarked grave. The skills Marjolaine taught me were good for something at least. I broke free when I saw the opportunity. I did not seek Marjolaine out. If she thought I was coming for her, she would have me caught again. I was tempted to confront her. I was furious, betrayed. But what could I do against her? And so I fled to Ferelden, to the Chantry and the Maker. Ferelden protected my person, and the Maker saved my soul. And that is the reason I am here. The real reason. No more lies between us, at least in this. It feels good to have this off my chest. Thank you for listening and understanding.
Well, interesting. Probably gonna have to deal with that subplot later. And now,
I await your command. So, full of questions, are you? Now I have time to find some way to prevent Flemeth from stealing my body in the future, even without her grimoire. For she will be back. One day, I have no doubt of that. And if I cannot protect myself, one day I will track her down again in whatever body she inhabits, and she will die again and again if need be. But there is no need to think of such things now. I have you to thank for saving me, so let us return to the task of dealing with the Darkspawn, no? Let us go. There is much to be done before... There is still much to be done. Mother's real grimoire, is it? I am glad you were able to find it after all. My thanks for retrieving it. I shall begin studying it immediately and unlock the power that it holds.
Oh, how dear of you. Thank you so much.
I am impressed. My thanks.
Ooh, shiny.
Oh, how dear of you. Thank you so much.
Ooh, shiny.
And all the booze goes to the dwarf, who I haven't picked up yet, but I will soon. My next stop, Lozamar. I think she's better in those rooms. I'll keep her in those rooms because ropes of possession. Yeah, I don't think I want her possessed.
It is a curious thing. I do not know how else to describe it. Indeed I am, a little. I am reminded of our first meeting in the wilds. I had been in animal form for some time, watching your progress. I was intrigued to see such a formidable woman, obviously more potent than the men she traveled with. Yet I resented it when Flemeth assigned me to travel with you. I assumed that, at best, you would drive me from your company as soon as we left the wilds. I am aware that I have little talent for forming friendships, to put it lightly. 'Tis something I know nothing of, nor ever thought I needed. Yet when I discovered Flemeth's plans, you did not abandon me. Whatever your reasons, you fought what must have been a terrible battle without hope of real reward. And that is what I do not understand. Of all the things I could have imagined would have resulted when Flemeth told me to go with you, the very last would have been that I would find in you a friend, perhaps even a sister. I want you to know that while I may not always prove worthy of your friendship, I will always value it. But enough of such idle talk. There are more useful things to be done, surely. What comes, my friend? So, full of questions, are you? What comes, my friend? We are in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any. You helped me avoid the fate my mother had in store for me. At the very least, I think I can aid you in return. Why? Do you wish me to leave? I can do so if you prefer. Then I assume our discussion ends here.
Do not want that. Let's load that back up.
What comes, my friend?
The stars are out. It comforts me to know that the stars will remain untouched by the blight. That whatever happens down here, they will shine eternally. Their light undimmed. There is a story about that cluster of stars over there. Do you know it? Elindra and her soldier? A long time ago, there lived a fair maiden called Elindra. She had many suitors, but spurned them all, for she did not love them. One day, Elindra was sitting by her window in her father's castle, singing and dreaming, when her lovely voice caught the attention of a young soldier. Entranced by her song, the soldier drew near to Elindra's window. As their eyes met, he fell in love with her, and she with him. When Elindra told her father about the man she had chosen, he was furious, for Elindra was high-born, but her love nothing more than a common soldier. To keep them apart, he had Elindra imprisoned in the highest tower of his castle, and sent her soldier to the wars. Alas, not a month had passed before news of the soldier's death reached Elindra. Alone in her tower, Elindra wept for her love, and beseeched the gods to deliver her from this cruel world. So earnest was her plea that the gods themselves were moved. They gathered Elindra into their arms and lifted her high into the heavens, where she became a star. The gods also raised up the soul of Elindra's soldier love, and there he dwells, across the horizon from her. The band of stars between them is a river of Elindra's tears, cried for her lost love. They say that when Elindra has cried enough, she will be able to cross the river to be reunited with her soldier. This story is one of my favorites, a tale of a love so great and so enduring that it defies death and moves the gods to action. Sometimes I ask myself, does such a love exist? Can it exist? I never expected you to say that. It is a pleasant surprise. I have to say there is a certain severity to you. Finding a person behind that all is nice. Maybe you should let your softer side show more often. Sometimes following your heart, not your head, leads you to remarkable places. Looking for little old me? Yes? What's on your mind? Looking for little old me? Yes? What's on your mind?
Nothing to talk to her about yet.
Is there something you need? I will answer to the best of my ability.
Here I am. Oh, this should be good. Go ahead. Well, the crows would have you believe that it is an involved process that takes years of training, the sort that tests both your resolve and your endurance. Survive that process and maybe, just maybe, you're good enough to start being considered one of them. But quite frankly, the truth is that all it requires is the desire to kill people for a living. It's surprising how well one can do in such a field. Within the crows, I did. But it has been something the crows have devoted a great deal of time to perfecting. An assassin simply specializes in striking from stealth, and in maximizing that first attack to be as lethal as possible. Debilitate your foe, either by poison or by crippling their limbs, makes any follow-up combat you need to engage in that much simpler. See? Getting paid for the act is beside the point. An assassin is more a tactical choice than a lifestyle. Of course, the crows like to pretend that their abilities are trade secrets, shrouded in shadows and wrapped in a blanket of mystery. So let's just keep this between you and me, shall we? Here I am. Oh, I certainly could, but I won't. I swore to the crows that the things they taught me were to remain a secret, and while, yes, they are already angry at me, I'd rather not push things, you see. If you are truly insistent, well, let me think about it. The crows are already angry at me, yes? Who knows? Here I am. Oh, this should be good. Go ahead. Well now, I imagine that's a very fair question. Being an assassin, after all, is a living, at least as far as such things go. I was simply never given the opportunity to choose another way. So, if that choice presents itself, why should I not seize upon it? To be truthful, I didn't even know the crows existed when I joined them. I was but a boy of 7 when I was purchased, for 3 sovereigns, I'm told, which is a good price, considering I was all ribs and bone and didn't know the pommel of a dagger from the pointy end. The crows buy all their assassins that way. Buy them young, raise them to know nothing else but murder, and if you do poorly in your training, you die. Oh, I don't know about that. The crows who are actually good enough to survive come to enjoy some of the benefits. In Antiva, being a crow gets you respect. It gets you wealth. Gets you women. And men. Or whatever it is you might fancy. But that does not mean doing what is expected of you always. And it means being expendable. It's a cage, if a gilded cage. Pretty, but confining. As for what I'll do in the future, presuming that there is one, I truly can't imagine. It might be interesting to go into business for myself, for a change. Far away from Antiva, of course. For now, naturally, I go where you go. Eventually can be a very, very long time, if one plays one's cards right. Come now, enough chit-chat. Talking about the crows summons them, you know. Any Antivan fishwife could tell you so. Here I am. Oh, this should be good. Go ahead. And why not? There are many things to enjoy about being a crow in Antiva. You are respected, you are feared, the authorities go out of their way to overlook your trespasses, even the rewards are nothing to turn your nose up at. As for the killing part, well, some people simply need assassinating. Or do you disagree? Now there's an interesting word, innocent. How many men do you know who can claim to be truly innocent? But if you're talking generalities, such as children and relatives and bystanders and such, never on purpose. But it happens. It's unfortunate, but death comes to us all. If not me, then some wasting disease, or a fall down the stairs, or at the hands of a darkspawn. It's all relative in the end. Death happens, as we like to say, and when I get paid for it, death happens more often. As far as enjoying the act of killing itself, why not? There is a certain artistry to the deed, the pleasure of sinking your blade into their flesh and knowing that their life is in your hands. It is not pleasure per se, nothing sexual. It is more a sense of satisfaction, a feeling of power. Does that make sense? No matter. There are many things I did not enjoy about being a crow, of course. Having no choice, being treated as an expendable commodity, the rules, oh, so many rules. But simply being an assassin, I like it just fine. I will continue to do it if I can, even if I am not a crow. Honestly, could you picture me doing something else? Whereas I am content merely doing what I happen to be good at. It's a talent that not many come by, honestly. I don't see why I need not pursue it. Of course, all these thoughts are moot. Chances are still good that you and I will perish, eaten by darkspawn or slain by the crows at some point. Very gruesomely, I imagine. But it is pleasant enough to chat about. Come, let's move on while our boots still have some wear in them. Here I am. Oh? This should be good. Go ahead. Oh, you wish to know about Antiva, do you? The only way to truly appreciate it would be to go there. It is a warm place, not cold and harsh like this Ferelden. In Antiva it rains often, but the flowers are always in bloom, or so the saying goes. It is fine enough with its dogs and its mud. The people are spirited, even if they can't tell the difference between an assassin and a mere killer. I hail from the glorious Antiva city, home to the royal palace. It is a glittering gem amidst the sand, my Antiva city. Do you come from someplace comparable? Oh, I have never seen that place. I am sure it has its charms, and its dogs. You know what is most odd? We speak of my homeland, and for all its wine and its dark-haired beauties and the lilo flutes of the minstrels, I miss the leather the most. I mean the smell. For years, I lived in a tiny apartment near Antiva City's leather-making district, in a building where the crows stored their youngest recruits, packed in like crates. I grew accustomed to the stench, even though the humans complained of it constantly. To this day, the smell of fresh leather is what reminds me most of home more than anything else. Oh, not so long, I know. It is my first time away from Antiva, however, and the thought of never returning makes me think of it constantly. Before I left, I was tempted to spend what little coin I possessed on leather boots I spotted in the store window. Finest Antivan leather, perfect craftsmanship. But I was a fool to leave them. I thought, Zevran, you can buy them when you return as a reward for a job well done. More the fool I, no? True, and it's a comforting thought. One simply never knows what is to come next. How could I have suspected I would end up defeated by a beautiful Grey Warden, a woman who then spares my life? I could not. Quite right you are. I see the Grey Wardens do not recruit fools. Now, if it is all the same to you, I would prefer not to speak more of Antiva. It makes me wistful and hungry for a proper meal. Here I am. Oh, this should be good. Go ahead. Here I am. Oh, this should be good. What would you like to discuss?
Looking for little old me? Yes? What's on your mind? Of course I do. I love stories far too much to keep them to myself. Everyone should be able to benefit from them, I think.
Something on your mind? Of course.
You called. I am hardly surprised. To put it lightly, no one has a place here. Your farmers wish to be merchants. The merchants dream of being... Very well. Speak, then. Then I suggest we move on. As you wish.
I see it found some augmentation crystals. I was not even aware it knew about them. Well done. So, what does it think? They don't make me look any wider, do they? I find I'm already too wide as it is. It must be the vertical pattern it put them in. Did it know to do that? It must have. I think it should find some more as soon as possible. I want to glitter from ear to ear, so to speak. Oh, that, merely reflecting on the hopeless nature of the task in front of it. The most likely outcome is that it and its companions will become a stain on some rock for the Darkspawn to tread upon. I shall be moved to a single tear by the tragedy. It's true. One single tear, and then it's off to the north, I think. Or maybe west. I haven't decided. What's that? Did it hear flapping wings? There may be pigeons nearby. We should be alert. I've watched a lot of humans in my time. It should be aware that I've decided that it is not much like any of them. Surely it must come from some superior lineage, yes? Some breed of flesh creature that has decided to elevate its genetic stock above its natural shortcomings? Oh, then that must be it. I knew there had to be some reason, it being a human and all. I would appreciate if it didn't spread around that I said anything. Humans might start to get the wrong idea. They might start thinking their race is not completely hopeless. Indeed, can it imagine the horror? Oh. Now, let us crush something into a fine paste before it starts to think I've gone all soft. Perish the thought. It speaks. Different? Different than what? Different than a statue? Different than a log? Should I talk in a monotone? Yes, Master, I exist to serve the Master. I shall kill for the Master and only for the Master. Perhaps it expected me to have a booming voice. Recite limericks. I can recite limericks, if it likes. Mostly they involve slaughtering pigeons in creative and invasive manners. I have never met another golem. I have no idea what one might be like, or why I wouldn't be like them. Why? Has it met other golems? Did they not sound as I do? I don't know what other golems might be like, but I am already superior by virtue of my free will. This is a good thing. Imagine the benefits. No need to eat or sleep or perform other functions. Walk underwater, crush the heads of every opponent. The possibilities are limitless. Barring the occasional 30 years or so of paralysis, there's little to compare. Now stop talking so much. The wagging of its moist little tongue is distracting. It speaks. It doesn't have better things to do. I like to think of them as accessories. I suspect that it is an art that was practiced when golems were more, commonplace. My former master collected whatever lore he could find on the subject. He searched far and wide to collect what crystals he could and then added them. It is not an unpleasant sensation. So I would assume. My former master enjoyed poking around the ruins in the deep roads after all, and bartering with others who did. As I understand it, the crystals allow me to alter the flow of magic around me. Wilhelm had hoped to turn me into a battery of mana, something he could tap at will. Some of the crystals increase the presence of mana, some absorb or reflect spells. There are various kinds. All I can promise is that should it ever find one of these crystals, I can likely tell it the function and what it would do if added to me. Why not? I don't get to wear clothing and other adornments like the rest of you creatures after all. That answers its question, I assume? Unless it has more. Oh, how interesting. Certainly I remember having a master. My memories of what happened to him are vague. Clever and true. Oh, very well. Let me see what I can recall. My former master enjoyed experimenting upon me. I remember that much. There was tinkering with spells, and then the crystals. He was very eager to alter my function, I think. Flattery, and obvious flattery too. I feel warm and fuzzy inside. He possessed my control rod, and back then, it would have prevented me from doing anything he did not command me to, no matter how I might have wished to. So what happened? I am unsure. He was experimenting, and then nothing. There was pain. I do not feel it as soft creatures do, so the memory is an odd one. And then he was gone. I was standing where I was, in the village, and I could no longer move. The villagers came, poked and prodded me in fear, and then realized they could neither move me nor destroy me, so they simply left me. And in time I forgot I hadn't stood there all along. In fact, at first I found it more of a relief. For so many years I'd had to leap to that little toadstool's every command. Get this, pick up that, put it down, pick it up again. The gall! At first I'd hoped he'd simply decided to leave me there paralyzed. An acceptable trade-off. After years passed, I simply stopped caring. Possibly. Except that he was not experimenting with the crystals at the time, I think. But my memory is not good. It may be correct. Whatever the mage did seemed to render the control rod useless, for which I should be thankful, yes? And provided it doesn't decide to copy his experiments, not that I would allow it, it is nothing to fear from me. Much. The things that it fights, and it fights things often, that is a different story. Let us get back to the walking and the fighting. My stone is beginning to itch again. It speaks. It doesn't have better things to do. Oh yes, that I remember quite well. My former master, the Mage Wilhelm, he brought me. As I recall, he had acquired some position with whatever lord ruled the land. I, being little more than a glorified possession at the time, was brought along. Oh, how he enjoyed impressing the villagers with me. Gollum, snarl at that villager there, be fearsome. And of course, I would have to do it. I'd have happily stomped them all into paste, and then ripped down their little houses and stomped on them, too. In fact, after 30 years of watching them, I'd do it twice. What I didn't like was being ordered to do it. Dangled in front of those frightened morons like some scary thing. Once I was a statue, it took those villagers years before they'd even approach me. The first one to actually work up the nerve to touch me urinated himself. Ugh. That is where Wilhelm kept me. He wanted me out in the open where I could be frightening like a scarecrow. I was supposed to watch for thieves. Pah! Plus, his wife didn't want me indoors. She said there wasn't room for me. Hag. Humph! I was once larger, 10 feet tall. Then the loathsome hag complained that I couldn't fit through the doors. So the mage had me shrunk down. Can it believe it? And she still wanted me out. With a chisel and a lot of nerve. He did love using that control rod. Fondled it so much his wife actually threatened to throw it in the lake. Ha! I would have liked to have seen that. Which reminds me, where did it find the rod? Did it pay a great deal for it? Good. Clearly, I am worth it. I traveled with the mage. He did a lot of traveling, I remember that. But where we went, it is rather fuzzy. I remember great battles, fighting many humans long ago. They were all very soft and squishy. And before that, No, there are only images. I was somewhere dark. I have no idea. Wilhelm used to brag that the dwarves stopped making golems centuries ago. I do not age as you soft creatures do. Sadly, my memory is no better. Plus, I get bored and stop paying attention. Good. I was just about done talking about it. It does like to have a good chat now and again, doesn't it? It speaks. It doesn't have better things to do. That part I know, as Wilhelm often bragged about it to whomever was willing to listen to him. He claimed to have found me in the deep roads. I was in the ruins of a Tig, he said, deactivated, with my control rod not far away. I think I remember a battle. It was long before, and then there was darkness. In short, no, I do not remember why I was there. It makes no difference. It was a hobby of his, scavenging. One of the reasons he traveled so much is that he was looking for entrances into the deep roads, old places the dwarves had long forgotten. And then he would sneak down and search for magical treasure, before anyone was the wiser. Indeed. He had spells that allowed him to remain hidden and move quickly, but he had no defense against the blight and worried constantly that he would get sick. If any darkspawn showed themselves, he fled. More often, he would have to fight other scavengers, dwarves who had become tainted. In the end, it killed him. I mean, he found me there, right? I wouldn't have had to put up with the twit, and I would be none the wiser. I don't think I was aware while I was there. Not like in the village. Or perhaps I was. Perhaps that was the dark place, and I simply couldn't see anything. How long could even I sit in the darkness and stare out at nothing, never sleeping? Oh, I do not wish to think of that. No, that secretive bastard refused to tell me. I would ask and ask, but no. He used to say that one day, if I were compliant and didn't talk back at his wife, he would take me there and I could look around myself. Rotten, lying bastard. If I had his head in my hands now, I would squeeze it like a giant lemon. Squish. On then. It speaks. It doesn't have better things to do. I do not sleep, so yes, and I thank it for reminding me. Try to imagine, if it will, what it would be like to be surrounded by nothing but boring peasants, all oblivious to it. And then there were the birds. A whole village full of pigeons and ravens and sparrows all perching on me day in and day out. Those foolish villagers would spread birdseed near me, drawing the birds, because they thought having birds perch on me was quaint. Quaint! If there hadn't been the occasional kind soul to scour me clean, I don't care to discuss this anymore.
So, sounds a bit gross.
It speaks. It doesn't have better things to do. That is true. I do not. I'm not interested in getting into a discussion on the subject, however. Ask another time. If it is done asking overly obvious questions, let us find some humans to throw off a cliff or something.
Of course.
Indeed.
Yes.
Yes.
Stop. Don't kill him. He is no common bandit. None of them were. Their weapons and armor are of fine make, and they are well trained. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? Who are you?
Someone who regrets taking you on. I was told it would be an easy job. Kill the little red-haired girl. Deal with the others as we pleased.
Kill the... You came to kill me? Wait, just 1 second. Who sent you? Why am I wanted dead?
I don't pay to ask why someone wants someone else dead. I just need to know what to do and where to get my money. Ha! Money. I'll be lucky to get away with my life, it seems. Maybe we could work something out. You like the idea?
Speak quickly.
I've no real quarrel with you. Wasn't me that wanted you dead. But I know how you can find the one who does. Never found out. Got the feeling the man I spoke to was doing someone else's bidding too. I have some directions written down on how to get to the house. It's in Denerim. Yeah, it's the best I can do.
Thank you. Now leave. I never want to see you again.
Don't worry. I'll not trouble you no more.
It's Marjolaine. It has to be. I thought the same. Maybe someone saw me. Maybe she's finally found me and wants to finish what she started. Perhaps it's time to settle this score for good.
It will be done.
Look at all these people hawking their wares. It's almost like a little city.
Is there something you need? I will answer to the best of my ability.
I have contracts. They can't shut us out like this.
May the ancestors protect us all.
What business would the mighty Grey Wardens have with a man like me? Oh? What was this about? I worried this might happen. I hoped it wouldn't be you who came for me. I have no choice. Forgive me, Warden, but I cannot go back with you.
It will be done.
How am I supposed to live with no crafts to sell? I'll be ruined.
The Maker, my brother and his family made it out of Lothering. He said that the Darkspawn attacked it the very next day.
The Darkspawn took Lothering, did they?
I don't know. I expect so, since there was no one there to stop them.
But it won't be much longer until those monsters get here.
Step right, Maker's breath. Oh, beg your pardon, friend. You, startled me a bit. You've, heard of me?
Where is my sword?
I don't know what you mean, sir. I don't have it, I swear by Andraste's knickers. I sold it on the way here. A dwarf near Redcliffe, Dwyn, I think his name was. I don't rightly know. He said he was a collector. It's none of my business what a person wants with my merchandise once it's changed hands.
We'll see.
I've heard about all those mages in Lake Calabar. They happen to be a pack of demons.
No. Did the Templars kill them all, at least?
They need a king to decide who buys clothes? This is ridiculous.
Stop that.
What can I do for you? This ought to be interesting. Such diction. This man is a true scholar and rhetorician. I am honored to be fired by one such as he. Good day.
Oh, you wish to talk to me? Truly, it's a courtesy for one so well-armed to notice a lowly merchant. Someone has to. Trade with other races can dry up. We surfacers are Orzamar's lifeline, even if we're denied a caste. The Assembly says we've turned our back on the stone, but they still use the goods we bring. Hypocrites.
That's not right. Someone should do something.
Maybe it'll change by the time my children are grown. Twice a year, I'm confined to a trade stall in the Commons, but I see enough. It's very closed in. My grandfather says I've lost my stone sense. I was born topside. I don't remember having it. Best of luck to you.
You're wasting your time. Only dwarves are allowed into Orzammar.
There are other places to sell. I don't have to come back here.
Horse.
Indeed.
King Loghain will not suffer the delay of his appointment.
Vieta! This land is held in trust for the sovereign dwarven kings. I cannot allow entry at this time.
King Loghain demands the allegiance of the Desher, or lords, or whatever you call them in your assembly. I am his appointed messenger.
I don't care if you're the king's wiper. Orzammar will have none but its own until our throne is settled.
Who doesn't? If I don't get in, no one should.
Orzammar has no king. Endrin Idukan returned to the stone not 3 weeks ago, sick over the loss of his sons. The Assembly has gone through a dozen votes without agreeing on a successor. If it is not settled soon, we risk a civil war.
The Wardens killed King Cailan and nearly doomed Ferelden. They're sworn enemies of King Loghain.
Well, that is the Royal Seal. That means only the Assembly is authorized to address it. Grey Warden, you may pass.
You're letting in a traitor? And a foreigner? In the name of King Loghain, I demand that you execute this stain on the honor of Ferelden. What? Lies and slander! King Loghain will not suffer this. I will not suffer it. I'm his messenger.
Kill each other as you will, but take your sodding fight off my doorstep.
You will need to fight sharp.
Not yet. Holly will be putting in an appearance this evening. Now, every once in a while I poke my nose out, shake the thing, but I haven't seen her. She's probably over at Donna's.
You've done me a service. That fool Imrek was barking for a week. Are all humans so touched? You are free to enter Orzammar, Grey Warden. Though I don't know what help you will find.
Trost follow, Warden. Your arrival is a fair journeys, Warden.
Is it just me, or do all these statues look alike?
For the love of Aragons, please. For the love of Aragons, please. Bread. Please, sir. Just a bit of bread.
Now that's a thing of beauty, daughter. If you work hard like Branka, all Orzammar will know your name.
Mother, I don't want to be like her. She...
Don't say that! Not to me, not to anyone. Now get back to the forge. I want to see more details.
Yes, Mother.
May the ancestors protect Branka, wherever she is.
May the ancestors look kindly upon you.
Very well.
I haven't eaten in days.
You were in the Chantry. You are a priest?
No, I was a lay sister of the Chantry.
Which means...
I lived and worked in the Chantry, but I did not take any vows.
So you dabbled in priesthood then?
Oh no, the lay sisters don't have the same sorts of duties as priests at all.
So you were not a priest, did none of their duties, and took no vows, but you lived among them?
Yes.
You were a house guest of the Chantry?
Sort of.
Hey, welcome back.
As you say.
It is the Assembly who makes a king, and a king who nominates his successor. None of it is carried in the blood.
Or, as now, when someone tries using the Assembly to pull a coup. Who's to say what my father said in his final hours, when the usurper Harrowmont was the only one by his side?
I'll have you thrown in prison.
You've bitten off more than you can chew!
Handlers, separate these dashers in the diamond quarter. I will not have Balin incite a riot.
Do not speak that way about the man who should be king!
I won't have fighting in the Commons, especially in front of outsiders.
Fool, I'll have him in the Legion.
Okay, I think before I get too deep into... Oh, let's level up before I adventures in Orzammar. And thank you very much, and have a good night.